you're ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 26th episode of the Nexus Trolls, a podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. So I'm your host, Linus Daz Kilius, and I'm joined today, as always, by Mystic and Liqiud. How's it going, boys?
Pretty good. Very happy that 2.0 finally dropped. Sick of waiting.
The loot boxes, man. The loot boxes.
Who isn't excited, right? And if you're watching the video of this, the live stream or the VOD after the fact, you may notice I've got no green screen background today. That's because Liqiud is actually hosting everything today. I'm traveling, but yeah, Liquid's taking up the ball here, and he's hosting the podcast for the day. So we'll see how this goes. The quality of my voice may be a little bit different than usual, but you might notice a little bit of an uptick in Liqiud since he's the one hosting this locally. But you know what? That doesn't matter at all. What matters is we've got 2.0 that hits today. Or not today, yesterday, I guess. And it's like Christmas come again. Christmas in April, gents. How many loot boxes did you guys get to open? Did either you hit the 70?
Yes, I did. I got to 71. No, 70. Right at 70. Trying to remember. It was a blur of loot boxes, man. It was like I just kept opening them. By the time I was done, I just wanted a single button that I could like click and it would open them for me. I re-rolled a bunch. But I want to take us they released this on the 25th, so it was literally Christmas, but not Christmas. And I also want to throw out there, this is our 26th episode on the 26th of April. So I mean, like, the Illuminati is real at this point. I'm just,
This is Nexus Inception, right?
Right.
I saw some people talking about, like, spoilers ahead here, but D.Va being announced to being a bit of like Nexus Inception because she's like a pro gamer inside of a pro gamer's game. So, yeah. So, I mean, if you don't know the background story behind D.Va, she's actually a StarCraft pro who turned into like a pilot of whatever her mech or whatever is called, right? And now she's, again, I'm horrible and I'm probably gonna get emails about it because I don't know much of the Overwatch lore, but she's obviously like, involved in whatever the fight is for like the Omnics versus humans and such, right? So, yeah, so now we've got her in the Nexus as a past StarCraft pro.
Right, a past StarCraft pro playing against StarCraft heroes.
Yeah, so it just blows your
mind blown.
The Inception is real.
So I want to point something out from chat to any of our listeners out there that have not logged in and opened your tons of boxes. Apparently, Ailbeard has just told me that spacebar will pop the entire contents of your box.
Ailbeard to the rescue. That man is a fountain of knowledge.
Right?
I actually tweeted him before the show saying, I think we've only got 4 references to you this week, which is probably like a record.
And now number 5 because he hit us in chat.
I know. He just wanted to push it that much further. Thanks, Ailbeard, as always. I feel like you're like our crack research team, like you by yourself, and you're the only reason that we can make this show happen. So, yeah, we always kudos go to Ailbeard. And you can always check out Ailbeard's stuff at blizzpro.com. He writes most of their Heroes of the Storm content there. So let's start talking about like what the deal is with the loot boxes, because if someone just logged in, didn't read the patch notes, maybe they just watch the show every week, you might wonder like how like all this stuff is happening and what you're getting here. So I'm just going to go over quickly and a little bit of strategy too, because after opening and re-rolling a bunch of loot boxes, I kind of realized I probably did it wrong. First off, if you log in, one of the things you'll notice is they'll say, hey, there's these 3 or 4 mega bundles that are available. You get 100 free gems upon logging in, and that's the same cost as a mega bundle. So you can essentially get one of these for free, but you don't have to purchase a mega bundle if you don't want to. However, if you don't have a lot of heroes, this is the best way to spend 100 gems. Each bundle has 20 freaking heroes. They're themed as assassins, flex bundles, support and specialist, and tanks and bruiser bundles. And just so you know, you don't get like a discount on your gems if you already own like even 19 of the 20 heroes. But even that being said, 100 gems is pretty much the cheapest you're going to get any heroes for. So if you're missing 1 or 2 heroes, you should probably look through these bundles, because a lot of the really expensive heroes, like even most recent heroes, are up there too. So check that out. Definitely give it a go and do that first. That's my first little key point here too, because when you're opening your if you do this, you don't get a discount, like I said, if you've got all the heroes. But when you open your loot boxes, if you get a duplicate hero, you'll still get shards. You might want to reroll in that case, but if you don't, at least you get the shards. Whereas if you do it the other way around, you get no value, right? Because you don't get a discount on gems for the mega bundles. So that's my first little tip there. Go ahead.
I want to throw out a tip with that, though. If you're like me and you have all the heroes, or maybe you were just missing Genji, the mega bundle will not show up.
Yes, and I noticed that as well. But you still get the 100 gems.
Yes.
So
I'm going to use mine on
gems.
EU so that I can jumpstart my EU account.
Whoa, Mystic, did you say 300 gems?
No, I said free 100 gems.
Oh, free 100. I was like, did I just get shafted here?
It
'Cause I
did
only
sound
got
like you said that, right?
Oh, my bad.
Mystic's an insider, I guess. He gets these extra gems that no one else gets. He just had a slip of the tongue there.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
So one other thing about these mega bundles too, just another little tip. If you've got a Smurf account sitting around, log into that Smurf account and get some free heroes here, essentially. I did that. I had a blast. I think I got like 16 free heroes for my Smurf account. And this might end up being a problem. But that being said, a lot of what they're changing here today removes the need for Smurf accounts in a lot of ways too. But either way, Liqiud disagrees.
I don't. Yeah, the whole point to the Smurf account was so that you could start fresh with MMR, right? So I don't know that anything in the 2.0 is going to help that. I also logged immediately into my Smurf account and got all the warriors just so I would have them all, because that's what I primarily play. But I'm not sure that anything in this patch is going to help with that.
Very true. I guess the reason that I logged into I feel like I don't need to log into my Smurf account anymore is because I want to keep getting loot chests. Now I feel like if I'm Smurfing,
yeah,
I guess that's the kind of angle I was going on that for. Like, I want to get as many loot boxes as possible. So now that there's no kind of cap to player progression, I can still get those loot boxes indefinitely. So now I feel like when I'm Smurfing, there's not as much of a point to it, because now that's those skins and loot boxes I open are going to a secondary account. Of course, there's always the advantage, like you're saying, if you're an MMR hell or something along those lines, or you're a pro streamer and you're in a situation where your queue times are atrocious and you want to get onto some streams with some viewers, like that's where Smurf account makes sense. I mean, arguably it's the morals of Smurfing is obviously something to be debated, but still, I think that's kind of where I was going with that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so just some more about the loot boxes. So if you were a player at level 40 in Heroes 1.0, you're going to get a free 30-day stim pack. And I totally forgot about that. I didn't even notice until I went through the patch notes. I was like, oh yeah, I got a 30-day stim pack for free. Not to mention, you opening all your loot boxes, you're probably going to get some stim packs in there too. So we're going to be stimmed for a while, guys. Maybe not as long as Liqiud here, who's probably got indefinite stimming. But anyway, anyone who did the Nexus especially is going to get some of these stim packs for sure. So if you played at least one Heroes match in 1.0, you're also going to get 5 basic loot chests. And again, this is another tip of mine too. I think you should open the basic loot chests first, and you guys can feel free to disagree with me here. You go through your basic ones first, then you go through your epic ones, and then you go through your veteran loot chests. My argument there is because of the way rerolling works. Now, in a basic chest, you're not guaranteed an epic or a legendary pull, which are the more rare and more expensive items that you'll get out of your loot chests. So if you get a legendary, say, in one of your basic or your epic chests, you're not going to want to reroll those, because you're probably not going to get it again if you reroll a legendary or equivalent. So you get one of those, you're like, okay, you lock it in. And then once you get to your veteran chest, which guarantee legendaries, that's where you can go and reroll any duplicate legendaries you don't like, because you know that if you reroll, you're still going to get another legendary in the rerolled chest. And I was like, I got a little derailed there. So the rest of the math here, every 10 player levels in the new system, you'll actually get 1 epic loot chest to a maximum of 55. So in these epic loot chests, you're guaranteed an epic rarity item as well. And then every 100 player levels, this is in the new system as well, you get 1 veteran loot chest up to a maximum of 10. These have an extra item, so you get 5 instead of 4, or is it 6 instead of 5? 5 instead of 4, I believe.
5.
And a guaranteed legendary in there. So if you're going to be using money on rerolls, this is where you do it. I don't know about you guys. Anytime I got like a legendary mount, I was like, I think I'd rather have legendary skins. So I kept re-rolling those until I got ones that I wanted. I spent a lot of money on re-rolling. What do you guys do for your re-rolling strategy? You guys have any sort of strategy to it?
So I followed kind of what you just said. And primarily I re-rolled when I saw things. When I saw I didn't get what I wanted but knew I had a chance to get what I wanted, I re-rolled. I spent about 35K in gold when I did it. So,
yeah, and I think I actually spent about 40K in gold. See, my argument for a lot of this is that gold has less value than it used to, because now you can only use gold for re-rolling and for hero purchases. And I play frequently enough that I think I can pretty much get my 15,000 or 10,000 gold to purchase new heroes like as they come out. So I was like, well, this banked up gold that I have, maybe it's best to use it on rerolls when we have all these like guaranteed legendaries, guaranteed epics and chests, right? But Liqiud, I gotta say, I think some people, Bacon from our last show in particular, are gonna be disappointed you didn't hold on to any of those chests.
You know what? So I wanted to, I really wanted to, but instead of, so my plan was, excuse me, to get Zarya and Valeera to 10 prior to the launch and buy their master skins. And my youngest decided he really wanted to see Fast and the Furious 8 in the theaters. And the deal my wife had made with him was, if you watch all 7 movies, we will take you to see it in the theater. And he decided this weekend he was going to watch all 7 movies. And I'm like, well, I'm not playing. I'm going to watch 7 Fast and the Furious movies with my youngest son instead. So we sat down, we watched all 7 of them, had a great time. You know, it was a fun time, right? I hadn't sat down and watched a marathon with him before. And said, all right, well, 2.0 launched. I don't have the skins I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll. I got all the skins I wanted. I had to craft a handful of them, but the Valeera one dropped in the box. The Zarya one dropped in the box. Excuse me, dropped in the box. And I crafted like the Anubrak one I was playing last night, the little Neon Tron looking Anubrak one. I crafted that with shards. Because when I was done with my boxes, I ended up with like 7,000 shards. So I was easily able to craft all the stuff that I wanted that I still hadn't gotten. And I still have like 3,500 left. And I suckered up and I bought $100 in gems last night too. So I got like more than enough gems to carry me on going forward for a while too.
Yeah, are you guys disappointed with the legendary skins that you only get one tint when you pull legendary? I feel like they're rare enough to pull legendary that I almost feel like I should be getting all 3 skins. I know beggars can't be choosers here, but
I am and I'm not, because the desire to have all 3 skin tints is high, especially with Valeera's master skin and Zarya's master skin. I really dig both of those. And Zarya, I got 2 out of the 3. Valeera, I only got 1 out of 3, but it happened to be the one that I really, really, really wanted tint-wise. I would have appreciated having all 3, but at the same time, not having all the tints is going to drive me to get more chests and re-roll those chests, hoping for that tint. Right? So I understand why they did it that way.
For sure. And you can't fault Blizzard. I mean, as someone who doesn't buy a lot of skins, I suddenly have access to a lot of skins I didn't have access to before. So I've got a permanent smile on my face regardless. I can't complain.
That's the question we need to be asking Mystic. Mystic doesn't have a lot of skins. He focused on buying heroes because that's how he got a lot of his heroes. So now I'm curious, Mystic, how many skins do you have now that you've... Or first, how many boxes did you end up with and how many skins do you have?
Well, I didn't have as many as you. I had 60, which is 5 commons, the 50 epics, and the 5 veteran. So, of course, since I didn't have any of the skins, right, I just opened them all up, and I just wanted to have fun with it. So I didn't reroll any of them because I need some gold for, like, maybe the upcoming heroes, right? And Genji, of course. So I just, like, went through it all, got some shards, and got quite a few skins. I actually got quite a few announcers, which I believe all of them are like legendary items. So got quite a few of those, and then I got the Monkey King Samura skin.
Okay.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, I got the Brightwing announcer pack, and I've been listening to Brightwing telling me to kill things and eat them. He's surprisingly creepy to listen to, but
I struggle with that. I haven't set any of the announcers ones. I've left them on default, but I have Butcher and I have Stitches, so I like kind of go back and forth about whether I want to use them or not. I haven't decided. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool idea. Don't get me wrong. I have not started using them yet.
Yeah, it's cool that you can set everything and you can set them in loadouts too, right? So you quickly like, flip back and forth. I felt like I spent a lot of yesterday, like a kid. I was gonna say kid in a candy store, but maybe the more apt analogy is my wife in a clothing store, because I was trying on all sorts of skins that I never had access to, trying all sorts of like voice lines and sprays. Our one of the guys on my chair league team, he was like, "Hey guys, right now, everyone go craft the cheese spray." So now our move at the beginning of the game that we did last night, all 5 of us will go mid. We'll drop an animated cheese spray in the mid lane and then run back out. And I was like, "Are you sure, guys? They got a pretty heavy dive comp here. Do we want to do this?" He's like, "Yes, we have. This is like a requirement. It's going to be our move from here on out. Dropping the cheese spray on the ground mid lane before the game starts."
Now,
so
I want to point out that you said that on stream. Mystic and I will hold you to that while we're casting your games. If you don't do it, it will be mentioned on stream. Why have they not done this?
Oh, don't worry. Decro, the guy who made us purchase those, he'll hold us to it more than you will. Don't worry.
All right.
He's pretty forceful to make sure that he gets his cheese in every match. So
Gives a new standard for Skinnergy, right?
Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So Mystic, what was your favorite thing you pulled? Was it the Monkey King Samuro, or was there any other things in there that you were like super excited to get?
There wasn't exactly. Well, I play Artanis a lot. I really like that hero, and I was really excited to get the Purifier Artanis skin, so that was pretty cool. And then since I also like Tyrael, I also got the what was it? The Demonic Tyrael skin? Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that one. I really like getting that one too.
Anyone get Primeval Diablo? That's the one I was hoping for.
I wish.
It. I wanted that. That was one of the few I crafted. I only crafted the red. Oh my god, playing with it is awesome.
So creepy, crawling on the ground.
Right? I love it. Well, and Dad, you saw it because that last game we played last night, I think I was on Diablo with that skin.
Yeah, that crawl is amazing. Yeah. Just the detail they put into the animation there is second to none. You got to give Blizzard a lot of kudos for the number of new skins that we got too. I kept pulling ones up, be like, I didn't know that was in the game, and I'm assuming it probably wasn't in a lot of cases too. So they've added a lot of content that kind of went under the radar too. I know obviously like Primeval Diablo got a lot of press, and a couple others like Ariel's new like geisha.
The Hanamura one, yeah,
the geisha tint or skin looks pretty amazing too. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we should be talking about how many cool things we pulled all day. So maybe we
got to keep going. I do want to throw 2 things in just because it deals with loadouts. One of the things I think I've seen probably a half a dozen times or more today on Reddit, having a default loadout would be really nice. But the other thing I saw, which started as a Blizzard forum post, a mobile app where you could manage your loadouts, so you can sit wherever during the day and play with your loadouts.
Well, I'm sure the Blizzard community is not going to hold back in their criticism and feedback to the Blizzard. So, and they're good at listening. Who knows, time frames and priorities and such. But I imagine a lot of the UI and things like just quality of life changes are going to be coming our way, in the months to come. Right. So one cool thing about Heroes of the Storm 2.0, or Heroes just relaunching it or rebranding itself as 2.0, is this is a good opportunity for game growth. And a lot of people said, okay, this is their next chance to make a big impact in the gaming and MOBA scene and esports in general. So how did day one do? Well, turns out some people checked out these things on Reddit, and we kind of kept an eye on Twitch to see how it was doing to kind of gauge how the launch event went. And turns out the hot subreddit had the biggest day of growth ever. 1,500 new subs in one day, which apparently is about 50% more than on day one launch of the game. So that's pretty impressive that we got that many subs at a relaunch, as opposed to just even the launch of the game you think would be the number one day. But we got so many on the relaunch. To go along with this too, the launch event on Twitch, I've never seen Heroes of the Storm have so many viewers in my life. 128,000 on Twitch is what it seemed to have peaked at. At least that's what Redditors were noticing, and they kind of released there. And we know Redditors are pretty scrupulous about this kind of thing. So it looks like it hit number 3 confirmed. I saw a screenshot of it being number 3 game.
Yeah.
Some people are saying that it hit number 1 for a moment or two. That's not confirmed or anything. I didn't see any screenshots. But regardless, it beat out League of Legends for a little bit. And I'm not sure if Heroes has ever done that, maybe short of BlizzCon. But still, that's pretty darn impressive considering where we've come over the past couple years and competing with these big name games.
So HOTS has never actually beat League, even during BlizzCon, because BlizzCon being their one chance previously, it wasn't on Twitch. It was only on the BlizzCon site.
Ah, there they go. So big day for HOTS regardless. And one really cool thing, which I think is getting some press, but I think it's hidden beneath a lot of what people are talking about with HOTS 2.0, is the Try Hard for Good event that they're promoting now. And for those of you who haven't come across that, it's where League of Legends, like pretty big name streamers. Now, Mystic being our resident League of Legends player probably knows these names better than I do, but Dyrus, Skara, and Voyboy are getting trained by probably people that we know we all recognize here being listeners and players of this game, Chew8, Dunk Train, and KO. So basically what the format of this is these League of Legends players are getting coached by the HOTS players for a week. And I was watching some of Skara and Dunk Train go, and it was hilarious watching just the insane mechanics some of these League of Legends pros have, but like absolutely zero game knowledge, like having no idea how Li Ming works and resets. Like he was throwing orbs from next to characters and still topping damage though, because the guy's mechanics are just like flawless, right? Like we're talking like very high level League of Legends players here. But either way, like one of the great things about this is they're bringing over a viewership from League of Legends, like Skara, Dyrus, and Voyboy. I didn't check all their subscriber numbers, but we're talking over 1 million subscribers for most of those channels, if not more, on Twitch. And like the top HOTS players don't have even nearly that much. So we're bringing over, and if you look in the Twitch chat too during these streams, you can tell it's a lot of League of Legends players. Some of them are hacking on the game, some of them are calling it cool, and it's just the nature of Twitch. But it was really cool to see those players come over. And so just continue on with the format. After the first week of coaching, the League of Legends pros are thrown to the wolves to rank up in Hero League for 2 weeks. It's a bit of a contest because whoever gets the highest position in Hero League gets $25,000 personally. But to make it even cooler, Blizzard's actually donating money to oh gosh, I don't even have the charity here. Which charity is it? Is it Make-A-Wish? Do you guys remember?
I think it's Make-A-Wish.
I think it is too, but
I think it's Make-A-Wish. They're going to donate money to Make-A-Wish, and it's significant. We're talking like it depends on how high they rank up, and I'm assuming these guys are going to get Diamond Master, Grand Master, even after a couple of weeks of ranking up. So we're talking tens of thousands of dollars that Blizzard's going to be donating to what we're assuming is Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yep, it's Make-A-Wish. Yep.
Yeah. So that's amazing. A great event for a great charity, and bringing over the competition too, right? I don't know how they swung it, but this is a great PR stunt. And Blizzard, whoever came up with this idea, I hope you're promoting them because they definitely deserve it, because this is the kind of thing you need.
Let's be honest, right? Most of these guys are going to end up at Grandmaster level.
You think so?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
They have 2 weeks, and these guys are all full-time streamers. I would be surprised if they did not end up at Grandmaster. I would be surprised.
I think they will end up in Diamond at least. From then on, I think it's up to them whether or not they reach Grandmaster, if they learn like a little bit more about the game, because as they are, I think they can reach Diamond just fine.
I mean, I'm not, this is not to bash you, Mystic, but you hit Diamond every season after doing your placements. These are 3 professional league players. They should have no problem hitting Diamond, right? Like zero. Not knowing the game, but being mechanically that sound, you should be able to carry your team.
And you know what? They might place very high too. I guess depending on how the coaching goes. Because think about it, you're playing with Dunk Train. If I was playing with Dunk Train for a week, I'd probably place Diamond 3.
Right? Like, I mean, come on. Now, that might be a good debate topic though. Mechanical skill versus game knowledge, and if game knowledge, like which one carries harder?
That is good. Hey, we might be having a HOTS debate next week. Liquid versus
man.
Mystic. Are we locking in that now? We'll talk about it off stream, guys, to see if we come up with better ideas, but maybe that's the way to go. Game knowledge versus mechanics. And this will give you good fodder for evidence to
Right?
kind
I mean,
of
it's like,
check out
it's
these
topical with what's going on right now. So,
Yeah, but guys, definitely check these out if you haven't had a chance to, because it's very entertaining watching people with zero game knowledge but great mechanical skill come to the game. So again, that's Dyrus, Skara, and Voyboy. They've all got different streaming schedules, so you can catch them during their regular stream times, I guess. But check out those channels. I'm sure they've got everything up there, all the information you'd need. Okay, so next, props to Alebeard section. We've got a great summary of the Nexus Challenge 2.0, which is another kind of perk of HOTS 2.0 that's just hit. Check out Alebeard's kind of summary of how this works on blizzpro.com. We've got the link for it in the show notes, but I'm just going to go over it briefly here because it's a multi-week challenge, and basically it spans Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm in terms of rewards, but all the rewards that you get are through Heroes of the Storm. So you get some pretty cool stuff. So week 1, so that's this week, if you play 5 AI, QM, unranked, or ranked games with a friend, you receive an Oni Genji skin, icon, and spray for Overwatch, and the Orochi hover cycle mount, along with the Oni Genji portrait spray and banners for Heroes. And by the way, once you make this reward, you gotta hit OK about 10 times to get through all the rewards you get, because if you say like you get this mount, you get all the different tints of it or whatever too, right? And the same with like the skins and banner and all that stuff. So you're just closing. I mean, it's great because you get all this cool stuff.
well, and last night, so many people were doing this and knocking it out last night. Blizzard had tweeted out that Overwatch rewards were being delayed because they couldn't keep up with the sync between the two games.
You know, it's popular when the Blizzard's getting bogged down by doling out rewards. How difficult can that be? But I mean, I was even trying to get a lot of Heroes information from some of their sites yesterday, and I noticed they kept being sporadically online and offline as I was trying to go through patch notes and stuff. I know they were down for maintenance, but even after they came back up, it seemed like it was kind of hit or miss getting through to some of the Blizzard sites, just probably because of, you know, just all this increased volume and everything coming through for today. So week 2, if you play 5 QM unranked or ranked games, I'm not going to keep saying that because you play 5 games with a friend. Don't forget, this has to be with a friend. You receive the Officer D.Va skin in Overwatch and the amazing Bussin police hover cycle mount in Heroes, which is freaking awesome too. And that's awesome that it's like so easy to get. You just have to play 5, games with a friend to get that. But that police hover cycle is amazing. I have no idea how to pronounce that word before. Bussin, Buzane, I don't know. But anyhow, it's a really cool skin, however you say it.
So
I pronounce it Busan.
I want to point something out though. For week 1, you can do AI games. For week 2, 3, and 4, you cannot do AI games. They have to be legitimate PvP games.
That is attention to detail, sir. Isn't that one of your traits that I gave you when I crafted your hero for Heroes of the Storm? Attention to detail. So I was pretty accurate because I did not even notice that difference between the 2 notes there. So week 3, again, you play 5 games, not AI, but QM ranked or unranked with a friend, and you receive Officer D.Va spray in Overwatch and the Overwatch Nexagon mount, along with Officer D.Va spray, portrait, and banner in Heroes.
That Nexagon mount is the most excited mount. I like the motorcycle's cool. I want that Nexagon.
You like the Nexagon better than the hover cycle?
I do. I am weird. Like I play the Warriors look better standing, so the Nexagon is a more natural mount.
Oh, gotcha. Well, we all knew you were weird, Liquid, so that's no news there.
No.
So week 4, again, play 5 games with a friend and earn 10 loot boxes in Overwatch and 10 loot chests in Heroes. 10 loot chests. That's nothing to shake a stick at.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say this is another great way to get people over from Overwatch when the game's changing. It has a lot of new Overwatch characters coming into that with, Genji and D.Va coming into the Nexus. So go ahead, Liquid.
One of the other things I saw, and I'm trying to find evidence of it, but I'm not finding it right now, and maybe Alebeard can hook us up because he is our research arm. I seem to recall them saying that you don't have to do it week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. You could actually knock out all 4 weeks with just like 20 straight games with friends. So, but you had to wait till week 4. It was something weird when they were explaining it on the Twitch live stream, and I can't go watch that right now because we're streaming, but they said something along those lines. So I'll try to find that and get that in the notes too.
Yep. So you might be okay then just logging in later on and trying to knock them off together. But I mean, if you want to be safe, log in every week, play 5 games with a friend, and you can knock those off as you go from week to week. So along with Heroes of the Storm 2.0, we got our new character Genji, which everyone's had a chance probably to play in the beta of 2.0. So maybe I'll go over his kit quickly here for those of you that might not have caught last show or haven't had a chance to see him or play him yet. He's a freaking cyborg ninja, guys. Like, first off, how cool is that? I know Overwatch has got one, but now we've got one in the Nexus too. So his trait, and again, I'm not really sure if you really call it a trait, more so of an extra ability. He's got something called cyber agility. I guess the one thing that makes it different from the rest of his abilities is it doesn't cost any mana. So this is on his D. It's on a 10-second cooldown. You can activate it to jump to a target area, and it can go over terrain. It's a pretty cool little hop ability to give him some increased mobility, and oh my gosh, is Genji ever mobile. Yep. So his basic abilities, Shuriken on his Q, it's 15 mana, 12-second cooldown for his charges. He throws 3 Shuriken in a spread pattern, each damaging the first enemy it hits. It sorts up to 3 charges, so you get a total of 9 Shuriken. It's 3 charges of 3 burst shuriken, and then the cooldown replenishes all the charges at the same time. So after you throw the first one, your cooldown timer starts to go, and by the time that's done, you'll get 3 back. So if you haven't used all 3, you just get topped up back up to 3, or if you've used all 3, you get topped up back to 3. It doesn't matter. So that's just a little bit of a tip too. If it's about to come off cooldown, you might as well throw out your last 2, even just get damage on something. So Deflect on his W, 16-second cooldown, 70 mana. This is very similar to Variant's Protect, except that not only does it protect you for 1.25 seconds, any damage that blocks during that period causes Genji to throw a kunai towards the nearest enemy, prioritizing heroes and dealing 55 damage. And this is for every instance of damage. So if you get hit by something that ticks very quickly, like a gleaming laser beam, you're throwing off a lot of kunais and doing potentially a lot of damage to whomever is nearby. And finally, his regular basic ability on his E is Swift Strike. This is a huge mobile ability, 75 mana, 12-second cooldown. You dash forward a huge distance, probably 3/4 of the screen, dealing quite a bit of damage. It's his highest damage ability to all enemies in a line. It's a pretty thin line, so you got to be a bit careful with hitting the skill shot. Enemy heroes who would die within 2 seconds after being hit cause the cooldown and mana cost to be refunded, and that is key. And that's why someone like Rich is amazing at this character, and I am not. Because if you can manage those resets, you can get in, get out, get into another place, get into another place, kill the whole team, and get out and be unscathed. However, this is what makes him, I think, a high skill cap hero. So 2 heroic abilities. He's got Dragon Blade and X Strike. Dragon Blade and X Strike are both on 80-second cooldowns. Dragon Blade, however, costs 50 mana. You take it when you proc it, you unleash the Dragon Blade for 8 seconds. And while it's active, Dragon Blade can be reactivated to lunge forward and slash in a huge arc, dealing a lot of damage. If enemy heroes are killed within 2 seconds after being hit by Dragon Blade, your Swift Strike, so your E movement ability, gets reset as well. So this is where he can go into like a large clumped up set of heroes and do a huge amount of damage, and not to mention get kills and get out really fast as well. Just a quick note, when you use Dragon Blade, it gets rid of your Shuriken ability and it actually becomes Dragon Blade, so you can't throw out Shuriken. However, you can still deflect and Swift Strike. So X Strike, it's 90 mana, you perform 2 perpendicular slashes that deal quite a bit of damage and ignite after 1 and 2.5 seconds, dealing an additional amount of damage to enemies in the affected area. So it's cross, boom, basically is what happens. And last week we talked about how we thought Dragon Blade is the superior pick, and that's actually what a lot of pros are saying too. However, I was listening to a lot of commentary, people saying, hey, X-Strike's got its value as well. Maybe we shouldn't have been so quick to knock it too, because it can be cast from a distance. It doesn't do a ton of damage compared to Dragon Blade. If you get a few hits on Dragon Blade, it's the equivalent of getting a perfect X-Strike off. However, you can do like a nice wombo with X-Strike and get out and not be in a dangerous situation. And Genji doesn't have a lot of regen for health. Well, he doesn't have any regen for health other than his just basic, like, whatever his base regen is. So this makes it a little bit easier maybe for, if you're just trying to get into Genji in the first place. So have you guys learned anything new about Genji over the past week now that we've seen him in the Nexus and seen more streams with him?
He moves really fast.
I was going to say, his deflect that makes him protected is kind of weird because it's stopped by CC, like stuns and whatnot, which is kind of curious to me because Varian's doesn't work like that either, but his is very similar, right? Where if you put it down, you're protected no matter what for like a good second and a half or something like that. But Genji's, it's you become protected, but if you get stunned, it is gone instantly. It's like how Alarak's Counter-Strike used to work, where he was protected, but then if he got CC'd, it just instantly just didn't do anything. Other than that, his Heroic Blade also, I didn't actually know this, but it removes his ability to do any auto attacks, actually.
Okay.
So not only do you lose your Shuriken ability, but you lose your ability to do any auto attacks, which, if you're silenced, you actually can't do anything. If there's a person that's literally 1 hit point in front of you and you're silenced, you can't hit them.
Well, that makes sense, though, because the whole point of Dragon Blade is he puts the shuriken away and pulls the sword, right? The way to combat that would to make it so he could at least auto with the sword while he's doing it, but I don't see that happening.
Okay, we've seen the cinematic though, right? Like when he's fighting Diablo, he is definitely capable of pulling out the Dragon Blade, throwing Shuriken, and doing like a billion other things at the same time.
You mean Blizzard's greatest troll ever? Yes. Everybody was so convinced that those 3 claw marks actually meant something, and it turns out they didn't mean anything.
And you're alluding to, I guess, we thought a dragon was coming to the Nexus?
Yes, so many people were convinced of a dragon, and it turns out that Diablo just scratched the door. But not just any Diablo. Diablo, the Lord of Terror, as he was meant to be played. My little buddy here, my little Diablo, was so happy with that video. But that is not the way he plays in the Nexus, because he APOC'd and Lightning Breath in the same video. So I would answer your Genji can use his sword and his shuriken at the same time and say, well, Diablo can Lightning Breath and APOC at the same time, but apparently he can't. So
yeah. So any more analysis here, Mystic? You think on Genji? Any tips or tricks or counters or anything that you can think of here for Genji?
Well, he doesn't do that much damage, but that's like kind of his playstyle, right? If he unleashes that Dragon Blade, you CC him. That's very good counterplay for that. X Strike is more of his hit and run play style, right? It really synergizes with his kit where it's like, okay, you go in, you do your abilities, you get out, you go in, do your abilities, you get out, right? X Strike gives you those invincibility frames, which for people that may not know, it makes you invincible, right? So if a Pyroblast is headed your way and then, you're about to be hit by it, use that X Strike, it'll just pop harmlessly and you'll get out unscathed.
Well, good to know. I didn't even think about the Pyroblast counter too. That's a good little tip there. So are we all in agreement that he's a very high skill cap hero? Are we going to see a lot of bad Genjis out there in the next few weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I think good Tracer players will translate well into good Genji players.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to play. I think that's one of the things too. Like he's the sexy character, right? Might draw maybe a bad comparison here too, but say when like Lunara was introduced into the Nexus, everyone's like, it's not cool, right? Not like the cyborg ninja factor. So a lot of people are just gonna be trying him based on the fact of like just his lore and his kit and everything too. So the fact that he's so squishy, we got all these new players coming into the game too. A lot of Overwatch players who maybe never played before. I'm a little nervous to see how some of these Genji players are gonna play and probably likely get blown up in the process.
Oh, one more thing I actually want to mention. For the people that don't know, I'm sure you'd figure it out really quick once you start playing Genji, but if you start your auto attack, you can actually move right after that, and Genji will finish the auto attack while you're moving. I'm sure many people have already seen this, but in case you didn't know.
Yeah, he feels a little clunkier for the stutter stepping in general, just because he does have to take a second to throw those out. I'm not sure if this is you talking about finding a way to optimize that. Maybe I was just poor at stutter stepping with Genji, but I felt like I couldn't get into like the rhythm like you can with like a Vala or a Rainer, say, on those stutter steps. Yeah. So any hard counters to Genji? The first one that comes to mind, I guess, would be a Varian Taunt, something along those lines, or a Polymorph maybe.
Yeah, any silences, stuns, polymorphs, yeah, all those are really good, especially polymorph, because it really prevents him from doing anything.
It is tough to land stuns on him though, unless you got something with a pointing
Oh my
click.
god. Well, it was a new. What was it? I was on a new bracket and you were on Tyrande. It
Oh
was
my
like
God.
impossible to stun that dude last night.
Lunar flaring Genji is impossible. Don't even bother to try, especially if the person's half decent. Like the guy's just gonna jump away or like slide out or whatnot, right? So makes it very difficult. But I didn't even know that deflect could get interrupted too. I feel like that's probably a bug. And if he comes out with a lower win rate, I'm sure that's something that they'll address quickly and probably affect his win rate a little bit too, because that's a very important. So it's his only survivability talent, right, or ability. I mean, so.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll go into Genji a little bit deeper probably next week. We just have so much to cover this week. We'll likely go into popular builds and a little bit more strategy on Genji in the future. But along with Genji came his map, Hanamura. So we talked about this a little bit last week. I'm just going to quickly go over how it works. Little spoiler alert: there was a Hanamura cinematic that we were talking about a bit before with Diablo and Genji and D.Va. D.Va was shown there. She's the new hero in the next. We knew it was going to be a female, so I think D.Va was also speculated upon, as well as potentially getting Deathwing. I saw as another popular one, or one of the female dragons from Warcraft. But still, D.Va is one that has been and eagerly anticipated to drop in the Nexus. She's going to be a tank, I'm assuming. We haven't had a lot of details about her, but one of the cool things for these who haven't played Overwatch is she's like a mech pilot, basically, inside of kind of like a tank suit. And in Overwatch, she can one of her ultimates, or her ultimate is she can pop out of the mech suit and like make it self-destruct and just do this huge AoE damage in an area, which actually can kill herself too in Overwatch. So, and then I believe, now correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm probably going to get emails about this again if I mess up. I mess up on a lot of Overwatch stuff. But when she dies, she pops out of her suit temporarily, and then she'll be in like just person form for a bit too. So I imagine they're probably going to get some sort of mechanic like that into the game as well with her, and it'll be interesting to see how they do that. But yeah, I'm assuming she's going to be a tank because that was her role, or maybe a bruiser in Overwatch too. Do you guys think that's probably what we're looking at here with D.Va?
Yeah, probably some sort of. It's kind of gonna be like Zarya, where she's like has this middle ground. I don't think she's just gonna be like in the middle of the fight, where she's not a Diablo. She's range, right? She's gonna be middle range. She's gonna have that one ability from Overwatch where I forget what it's called, but she puts down like a projectile blocker, and it just destroys all projectiles. That go through it.
It'll be interesting to see. I think she's gonna be more bruiser than Zarya is. Zarya fills a bruiser role quite well, but Zarya can't main tank, but Zarya buffs the rest of the team. I'm not sure how much buffing we'll see coming out of D.Va. It's her kit is gonna be interesting. I look forward to trying her on PTR hopefully soon.
Well, if history repeats itself, I'm assuming the D.Va's kit is going to be almost identically translated over from Overwatch. Blizzard's been really good at keeping the flavor so far, so I imagine most of her abilities will transition over. And maybe I should go play some Overwatch games, get on D.Va, and just get a bit of a feel for her before next week, so I can talk a bit more knowledgeably about how she plays in Overwatch itself.
That actually reminds me of a really, really long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember this, but
back in the days of yore.
Yeah, Tychus's ultimate, Odin.
Yep.
It used to, when he popped it, it used to have like its kind of own health bar.
Yep.
And then when you blew it up, Tychus popped out. He didn't actually die. So I'm thinking maybe it'll work something along those lines.
That would be interesting. But then she's got to be really squishy at that point, because you have to not completely foobar the balance of every other hero you have, right? So if you give her a tank's health pool when she's in the mech, she's got to have like a murky health pool when she's out of the mech. And then it becomes, how well does that work? Is that worthwhile? We need to see her kit. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
You got to have faith that Blizzard will balance.
Oh, no, I absolutely do, right? I 100% believe Blizzard will do this right. And I'm sure they've answered these questions. We just don't know the answers,
Ragnaros.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? Maybe she will be released and be overpowered, but they do a ton of internal play testing and everything. I'm sure they probably, I think they said they've been working on Genji since last August. So I'm assuming D.Va's probably been in the works for quite a while. They've probably gone over, hundreds of iterations of her kit and play style. So it'll be interesting to see what they settled on to make it work. And that's one of the great things about Blizzard is they have that intense attention to detail, almost obsessively so. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with here. Okay, so Hanamura, which we started talking about, and I got derailed into talking about D.Va, is the new map that we got. Just quickly going over how it works in case you haven't had a chance to play it yet. It's a 2-lane map. It's based on Hanamura from Overwatch, so very like Japanese style, like almost fortress. Its core is protected and cannot be attacked by heroes. Instead, there's a payload mechanic on this map, very similar to Overwatch, where heroes need to escort payloads from the start to end points. The payload successfully reaching the end point will deal 1 damage to the core. Payloads move faster the more heroes that are within the range of the payload, up to 3. However, the payload will stop moving if one member of the enemy team is within the range of the payload, so it'll be contested. And it'll actually start moving backwards if the payload's left alone long enough. So the payloads will spawn on each side of the map, so you'll have, I guess for lack of a better term, an attack and a defense payload, so one for each team. And they spawn periodically throughout the course of the match. You can actually even get 2 payloads on the map on one side or the other at any specific time, depending on how long it's taking you to escort a single payload. So there are forts and keeps in the game, but they kind of give you a little bit different benefits than you're typically used to. Down forts will provide 1 extra shot of damage to the next successfully escorted payload. Down keeps won't give you that extra shot, but they will spawn sapper camps in your minion waves instead of catapults. Kind of similar to, and these sappers work similar to how they work on Towers of Doom. If the sappers reach the end of the lane, they're actually going to fire shots in the core. So that's a pretty important mechanic to remember. There's 4 types of mercenaries. All of them give a significant amount of experience, which is something we didn't actually mention last week because it wasn't something that I was actually aware of. They don't push the lane either. Instead, they give rewards. So the 4 types are Recon Camp. The reward that the Recon Camp gives you is a Dragon Spirit token. And don't forget, after you take the camp, you can actually channel the token to get the reward as well. It's an activatable token. When you activate it, it releases 3 Dragon Spirits that seek out enemy heroes, revealing them for 5 seconds. And it does it pretty much anywhere on the map. Fortification Camp is the next one. Its reward is a turret, which you can place on the ground on a spot kind of like Tychus' turret, or on the payload itself, which is pretty cool. So Support Camp, the reward's a Healing Pulse token, 35% health and 23% of your mana to you and your allies over 15 seconds. So a pretty big AoE heal. It's over a long time, but it can make a bit of a difference in a team fight, especially if you're in quick match and don't have any healers along the way. And then also one thing to note about the Support Camp too, I believe it's only 1 actual merc that's there, so 1 stack of bribe will actually take it too and give you a significant amount of experience. Then finally, the Mega Enforcer. He's the boss in the middle of the map. He deals 1 damage to the core upon taking him. He's got a massive area of effect in the throw pit, and he eats heroes, a la Stitches, except he doesn't do damage while you're inside, but still, nothing worse than being inside of the boss when it's being heavily contested. So you guys liking Hanamura? A lot of the criticisms of it is that there's a lot going on, almost too much going on. Blizzard's actually acknowledged it themselves to a certain degree in the Q&A they had on Reddit. It's a lot of people are having issues, I think, wrapping their heads around it. I'm sure this will probably settle over the coming weeks. But Mystic, what do you think about this map? Do you like it?
I do like it. I like that there's a lot going on, actually. However, like you were saying, a lot of people don't like it. I think you just need to settle on what you need to do. Like, there's a lot of options open to you, but you want to just settle on, hey, I'm going to do this, or our team is going to do this. We don't have to spread ourselves so thin that we're trying to do everything at once. Just spread yourself so you're doing 1 or maybe 2 things at the same time. You don't need to do everything at the same time.
Right.
I guess at the end of the day, all these maps come down to later game team fights and how successfully you do in those. So if you are spread out around the map and you're in those 5v4 or 4v3 situations, you're likely going to be on the short end of the stick, even if you are soaking every lane, getting mercs, escorting 2 payloads at the same time. If you get a team wipe, the other team's going to benefit from that in any sort of situation. So Liqiud,
yes,
are we going to this map on pro play? Do you think the pros are going to have a field day with this one? Because I imagine there's a lot of strategy that's going to come out of this.
I think this map's gonna get banned if it's in the rotation for quite a while. We saw Fnatic play Dignitas on this map, and it was fun to watch. It was a cool game to watch. I feel like the other maps we have in the rotation, it's very even, right? Like the objectives spawn even. There's a lot of like solid gameplay you can get out of them. On Hanamura, it's way too easy to snowball one way or the other, because if you can, especially with like Vikings, right? If you can play your Vikings well, and if you can multitask well, you can stop the other team from getting their escort payload to ever get where it needs to be, right? While your team like constantly move it. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this, and I apologize, because it's like there's so much going on in the map that it's hard to, I don't know, put into words what I'm trying to say right now. But no, I don't think we're going to see pros playing it. I think we're going to see a lot of pros banning it in tournaments right now. Definitely for a long period of time. But right now it's not even in the map pool, so it doesn't matter, right? For the rest of HGC, because I think, I have to go back and check, but I think they set the map pool for the entire year. And the map pool did not include maps to be determined later, right? So I don't think there's even a chance for this to come up, but I'm like pulling it up right now just to double check.
I think
So it's done such a good job of befuddling everyone. It's also befuddled Liquid as well.
Yes.
I think to add on to what Liquid says, so as a pro team, why would you choose a map? Oh, because you're good on the map, right? And what maps would you choose to ban? Well, maps that you're not particularly good at. So since this is very new, I think they're just going to ban it, like Liquid said, for some time. However, with when this map just eventually like fleshes out, I see pro teams picking it more often, especially if like Blizzard does a little bit of balance patches where they're just like, oh, on this map we're going to make it so that it takes longer for the payloads to spawn or something, because then you have less things to do in the short amount of time.
So thank you, Mystic, for helping me get my thoughts straight. A, I agree with him. B, I did just look it up. So the map pool of 9 maps is set until mid-season brawl. Post mid-season brawl, before phase 2, the map pool could change. They could cycle maps in and cycle other maps out. The map pool will continue to be 9 maps, right? But I'm looking at the map list, and like, let's just, all of the maps we have, right? And if you assume just outright that Blackheart's Bay and Haunted Mines won't be in the rotation, just assume those 2 are out, period. Like, no question. Blizzard has said, yeah, we like what we've reworked with Haunted Mines. We still don't think it's competitive. We all know Blackheart's Bay is not a competitive map because you can just PvE the whole map and win, right? Like, that's just an understood, that's how Blackheart's Bay is designed. So you have one more map that you're going to get rid of. So let's say, for some reason, they get rid of Cursed Hollow and they put Hanamura in there. As a pro team, looking at the map list, there's no conceivable way I would pick Hanamura over the other maps just because of the current design of that map. Now, that's not to say maybe you're like Superstars or Team Expert and you have some serious cheese that you're going to throw down on that map and be like, yo, we have a plan for this map. These guys won't see it coming. It's an Abathur Falstad, or like, I don't know, just something like completely crazy, right? Abathur Falstad's really not that crazy, but something completely crazy. Nobody's going to be expecting it. It's like Gazlo Vikings or something, right? And you get this comp and you just absolutely destroy, because Gazlo can build turrets on top of the payload, and you just stand there and you walk with the payload and you're surrounded by like 8 turrets, right? So you have the cheese, you might pick this map. But if you're not cheesing this map, I as a person that consumes a lot of HGC, would struggle with somebody picking this map over maps that exist in the map pool.
Yeah, I can see how pro teams would shy away from it. It's almost too bad because you think there'd be an opportunity here if other teams are bad at this map or don't spend the time learning it. I mean, that's probably why they're going to end up banning it. This will be a moot point anyways, but this is an opportunity to become better at other teams on this map and make this map like your own, your go-to.
Right, and like Mystic said, maybe they'll patch the map. And if they patch the map, things change. This can't possibly be in the map rotation until after the mid-season brawl going into phase 2. So, you know, that's far enough away that who knows what could happen.
Okay, we're quickly going through time here and eating through it and we got a ton left on the docket, so I'm going to start moving it along here a little bit. Talking about map rotations for the pro scene, we actually have a map rotation for us now in QM and unranked and ranked play that's been significantly reduced, and I guess it's a good idea with all these new players coming in. You don't want to overwhelm them with maps. We're looking now at 6 maps in the rotation: Braxis, Holdout, Cursed Hollow, Infernal Shrines, Hanamura, Sky Temple, Towers of Doom. Notable absent ones here are Tomb of the Spider Queen and Warhead Junction, which is one of the newer maps, which I guess you would assume would kind of stick around. Cursed Hollow is always this, the usual go-to and such, and I guess the other ones are of the maps, some of the newer ones. So yeah, I mean, that's always a good thing to try and like shorten the pool a little bit for new players. You guys think this is a good idea?
Yeah, it had to be done. I just wish they would have dropped Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, well, I feel like Cursed Hollow is kind of like the go-to regular map.
Yeah.
In so many cases, like not only pro play, but just like it's the introductory map that you get stuck on for the first 5 games when you come into Heroes of the Storm. For God's sakes, too. It's almost like that.
So much.
Has to be the one. I like it a lot. I think it's good.
I'm just sick of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been around forever.
Watching Skara play it. Though the curse comes and Dunktrain's like, okay, you go in and start hitting the tower. He's like, but I can't go in. Like I'm pre-level 10. I can't go in. I get the tower here. And he's like, don't worry, it's turned off because there's a curse. He was like, what? He like started freaking out, being like, how does that happen? They just turn off the towers once you get 3 of these tribute things. But very entertaining. Again, that goes back to the 0 game knowledge we were talking about before. So anyhow, map rotation's down to 6. One thing that I didn't notice, but Mystic mentioned before the show, is that talents, the little talent box where you select your talents, no longer pops up when you hit talent tiers. Is that right, Mystic?
Mm.
So it's just you get the little, I guess, kind of glowing bit around your portrait or whatever, saying talents available.
Yeah, it's like there's a new talent, but it doesn't pop up anymore. So you're looking, and you'd already hit, you're like level 11, and you're like, wait a second, I don't have my heroic, and then you pop it up, and you have like 3 unselected talents or something, and you're like, oh.
The 2 biggest complaints going right now are that and the fact that colorblind people and even not colorblind people struggle to tell what total level you are because of we're only going to show you the 2-digit number and then change the frame around your portrait.
Yeah, and then what Liqiud is talking about there is your hero level portrait will actually just show the last 2 digits. So like if you're level 696, it'll only show 96, but you'll have like the 600 level border or whatever. And at first I looked at it, I was like, am I only level 96? I was like, oh, that's gotta be wrong. And I checked it out, and that's exactly what happens. So you get different progression, like 100 level borders to go along with that. So in some news, the pre-BlizzCon event that we've been talking about the past couple weeks, Calm Before the Storm, has made its funding goal. So now they're actually looking to hit stretch goals to make the event even bigger too. So this is the event that happens the day before BlizzCon on the Thursday night. A lot of content creators will be there. Some other, pretty much any podcast is attending will likely be there too. They also have artists kind of peddle their wares there and everything as well. And it's just a great place to mingle. I've never actually been there, so I don't know all the details about it. But from what I've heard, it's a great event. About 5,000 people attended last year. It's absolutely free, so you can head over there. You don't have to be a backer of the event or anything. But if you want to back it, head over to Con Before Storm. There's no the in there, just conbeforestorm.com. Or they've got a page on Kickstarter as well, which is in the show notes. You can back their project. There's a whole bunch of rewards you can get. And if they get to their next stretch goal too, they're going to be even bigger and host all sorts of other stuff. So check that out.
Well, we're going, right? We're going to...
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We'll be there. I'm not sure what level we're going to be participating in, but we'll definitely be there. So take a look out for us amongst the 5,000. Maybe we'll have T-shirts or something, or wear fancy hats so you can figure out where we are. Fancy hats. Where did I come up with
backpacks
that?
with flags?
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll be like one of those tourist groups.
Right,
we'll have we'll be holding up the Nexus Trolls flag as we walk around. So other than that, we've got some more news. Liqiud's slowly been taking over the esports world. Liqiud, what have you been up to for the past couple weeks? I've been seeing you all over the place, other than here.
So I actually didn't read this section of the notes until just now. All right, so excuse me. So this week, actually yesterday, I guested on a show. They hit me up on Twitter called The Weekly Blizz. They cover all things esports related Blizzard. So Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, Hearthstone, and WoW Arena. And actually had a great time. Yes, they don't cover StarCraft Mystic. I'm sorry. I'll have to give them grief about that. But
dead game.
but we had a great time. Daz warned them ahead of time, be careful, because once you get Liquid talking, he doesn't stop. And that was indeed the case. We did go a bit long. But there was a ton of stuff to talk about HGC-wise last week, or that happened last week, that I'm only going to hit the highlights here tonight, just because we have so much content to go over, but I was on that. And then last week, I restarted a show with DB Smiley. So DB Smiley has been doing these really cool, I want to get the name of these things right, HGC power polls, and then ELO ratings for all the HGC teams, and like all this stuff. He's now actually posting on GFE's website, which is kind of cool in and of itself. So you can check his stuff out over on gfe.gg/news. But we recap NA. So we go over the last week's NAs. We go over where the power poll has people at, where both him and I think teams are at, and where his ELO ratings put teams. Very mathy. It's some cool stuff, though. Very, we dig into chances of people going to the Crucible, chances of people winning first, things like that. And so we cast that Thursdays at 7 over at twitch.tv/DB Smiley. So, yeah.
And I watched some of it. He takes a very scientific approach to it all, too. I guess he's got his PhD, so he's got it like laid out extremely well, and he's very thorough with all of his statistics and everything, too. And
so,
like how...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It was interesting he was talking about, like, it's like less than 0.1% or whatever. And I think there was like so many zeros, like a 1 in 10,000 chance of like one team making it out
of the Crucible. Yeah. So cool guy, really smart guy. And I had a good time with him. We'll be on again tomorrow night. One thing that I will say is I thought B-Step was riding the ship, and I backed B-Step going into this weekend, and they did not, and I had to eat that crow on Twitter, and I was like, dude, I should have went with the math. You were right. I should have went with the math. But yeah, it's a good show, and it's well worth it. So check it out if you guys are around tomorrow night, Thursday nights at 7 on Twitch. And of course I tweet it when we're going live, so just follow me on Twitter and get that.
Just to make sure it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yes, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Perfect. The other thing too is we've never really promoted it. Bacon was on last week from the Gangbush squad, and they've got a channel they all pop into in game. Their channel is just Win Time, and I was like, you know what, we've had this channel we've kind of never really promoted. I think we mentioned it on one show probably like 3 or 4 months ago. But hey guys, if you're interested on hanging out with us in game, head over to / join the Nexus Trolls. And that's a channel that me, Liquid, and Mystic all hang out in. Bacon's in there too now, and just several others. But we've never really promoted it. But we'd love to start like getting in there and like having chats with the community and like just playing games with you guys too. So just try that out. Check it out again. / join the Nexus Trolls when you're in game and join our chat channel. Okay, so I guess that brings us to Liquid's esports corner. We're gonna get the bumper prepped. Got the bumper prepped. Go for it, bud.
Hey yo, how you doing? It's time for Liquid's esports corner. That's right. And you're going to want to stick around for this.
All right. So this week, like I said, I'm going to do this really, really fast, like totally different for me. I'm going to lead off with Chair League Season 4 finished last Saturday. Mystic, buddy. Hero Physio and I cast the Division 1 Finals Saturday afternoon. And Halorian cast the Pro Division Finals, and then Vertistorm and I think Dankstrom cast the other 2 Division 2 and Division 3 Finals. Great end to Season 4. Working on Season 5, looking at reworking some of the rules, making them more clear for everybody. Super Jova has created a rules committee that I happen to be a part of, and we're working on that. And then he's going to have some great announcements for Season 5. I'm going to try and get him on the show before that so we can go over those and maybe reveal some of those live on the Nexus Trolls. That would be great. HGC action. Just a couple of things I want to hit highlights real quick. Over in HGC China, E-Star is continuing their dominance at 4-0 with a 12-2 record. CE is 3-1, having lost a set this week to Super Perfect Team, leaving them at 11-4 for their match record. And Super Perfect Team has now joined the top 3 at 3-1 with a 10-5 record. Over in Korea, L5 had its biggest challenge to date. Tempest almost beat them, took them to game number 5 in their set, but L5 maintained their 10-0 with a 30-4 record. MVP Black, of course, in second place with 9-1 at a 27-6 record. Tempest right behind them. I'm still really disappointed that Tempo Storm dropped Tempest after the going got tough. Bailed out, took over Team, what was that? Now I'm going blank on who they were. Murloc Geniuses. But that's cool. You know what? I think that's wrong. I'm going to have to look it up later. Anyway, still disappointed in that. HGC EU, Team Liquid still dominating 10-0. Those are the ex-Misfits guys with a 30-9 match record. Fnatic at 9-1 with 29-10 in second place. And Dignitas rounding out the top 3 at 8-2 with the 26-10 record. The stepladder playoff for that going into the midseason brawl is going to be very interesting over in EU. And EU matches this week, completely crazy. Top 3 playing each other. If you're only gonna watch one match a day, watch EU this week, boys. That's where the action's happening. Also, Tricked Esports did upset Team Expert this week, 3-1. That was kind of crazy. And what was the other thing? Team Expert's Warrior Blade had a tweet longer come out this week where he said basically, hey, Team Expert let me know they're thinking about replacing me and they're trying out people to replace me in non-HCC events. I realize I'm the one that sucks and I'm causing the team problems. I'm going to fix this, but that might be too little too late. Nobody can make any changes till after the midseason brawl, but he might be on the chopping block. They may be replacing him. And then finally, NA. NA is a wreck. We're just going to leave it at that. Tempo Storm, though, still 9-1, sitting at the top with a 27-10 record. GFE 7-3 in second place with a 27-11 record. I'm not sure GFE deserves to be there. Murabot doing damage. They lost to a Muradin bot. Like, how do you do that and you're in second place? So I have 3 notes about NA that I'm just going to throw out there right now. GFE is a mess. B-Step's a disappointment. And Team 8 is doing nothing but throws. So take that for what it's worth. Those are my 3 takeaways in the I'm not gonna go mathy because that's what I'll do tomorrow night, but in my I'm disappointed in how NA looks right now, those are my 3 takeaways. The last thing I want to throw out to you guys is just the EU and the NA Open. So EU Open Cup is finished. The top 16 are set for a playoff. I think that's in 2 weeks' time. Team Zealot sitting at the top of the standings with 565 points, which is huge considering number 2 is MAA with 430. Those 2 teams are well above the rest of the EU Open Division teams, and I would expect to see those 2 be the ones that go to the Crucible. And it would not surprise me to see, I think it's B Genius sitting at 0-10 right now, to see them get knocked out by one of those 2 teams. Over in the NA, there is 1 cup left before the playoffs. That is on Monday, and Mystic and I, if Mystic's available, will be casting those games Monday, Tuesday. That's the last cup before the playoffs. Right now, the top 3 teams are LFM at 520 points, far and away ahead, right? They're just dominating. Imported Support at 385. Mystic and I had the pleasure of casting some of their games. They're a pretty tight team. And then UTA at 300, having just finished 3rd this past cup. But UTA did tell Cavalier Guests that they were feeling a little bit rusty coming out of their dorm win. And if you follow all the chatter and all the little rumors, that team is not happy with each other. So if they get into HGC through the Crucible, they're going to be stuck together. I think they're waiting to either see if that happens and deal with it, or maybe look at making a single roster change at the point where they join HGC, or post this first phase of Open Division, look at changing that team up afterwards. And I got to say, I think that's the fastest I've ever done the esports corner.
Well done. I guess when we go vegan, no more bacon kicking around here, right? It goes a little bit faster, so...
Oh, no. There's plenty to talk about. I just know how much stuff we have left, so.
I got a question for you quickly about the Open Division.
Yep.
Are rosters locked while you're in the Open Division?
Rosters, there's the rules are a little bit different, but not very much. The rosters are mostly locked for the Open Division. If you create a new roster, you have to join as a new team and earn your points again. Now, Ooh. In the case, but here's the thing, right? So in the case,
I got him started.
No, and this will be quick. I promise. This won't be very long. In the case of a really good team, looking at the NA point standings and the EU point standings, if you created a new team, especially there were 7 cups total leading into the playoffs. If you were a good, solid team, and I'm talking top 4 finishing team, you only needed 2 weeks to get into the top 16, because the top 16 go into a playoff. Right? And so even if you make it into the top 16 at number 16, you're in the playoff. And if you have a solid team, you've earned enough points to hit that top 16, and you feel like you can fight your way through the whole playoffs into the Crucible, there's still a chance. So, the roster, it's not as set as HGC where they can't make any changes at all. They couldn't even reform a team. They would just be out. They would basically bail on the HGC, right? So...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else is interesting? We got a whole bunch of patch notes to go over.
I tried to go fast, man.
We're like an hour and 10 minutes, give or take, into the show, and we still have not only one but two patch notes of aggregated stuff to go through here. And you know what? We're gonna go through it, and we're gonna go through it so fast. We're calling this the Patch Notes Blitz Edition. The links to the to the patch notes are in the show notes. These are a combination of two because we had a balance update on the 20th, and we've had the 2.0 launch on the 25th, both of which came with hero updates and reworks. So we're going to do a quick paragraph about each hero, do a quick discussion about each one. So Cassia, and again, this isn't just the most recent patches. We're going back 2 patches ago. Some of these changes were 2 patches ago. Some heroes got changes in both patches too, like Uther, for instance. But starting with Cassia, she got some slight buffs. She got mana cost and cooldown reduction to her Fen, that's her E, from 10 to 8 seconds. A significant cooldown reduction on Valkyrie, her ultimate that pulls people in, from 90 to 60 seconds. And a slight buff to her Fen build with True Sight at level 1, receiving a damage increase, and Impale at 7, affecting heroes at higher health. So her win rate is just below 50%, give or take. So what do you guys think of Cassia? Is she in a good place right now? Let's go to Mystic.
I think she's in an okay place. Like, her main thing that she does is blinds, right? So I think she excels in what she's supposed to do, which is take out those auto attackers and whatnot. And she's not, like, you can pick her in situations where you don't need that, but she's not like gonna excel in that situation, right? So she's like an average hero, really good in her niche, and then just like slightly falls below just because of her auto attack range, but she does pretty good damage otherwise.
She seems pretty easily counterable because she is squishier against ability damage. So, Liqiud, do you think she's a later in the draft type pick that goes into specific comps once you've seen what the enemy team is? Is that a pretty...
Yeah, that's really the only safe time to pick her. If you pick her early, you just throw Li Ming at her and she's done.
Yeah. Literally, Diablo picks up Li Ming, throws her at Cassia, and she's done. This is Diablo's new ability, throwing Li Ming.
I mean, he can throw a bell. Why can't he throw Li Ming? Just saying.
Oh no, she can do a lot of damage. Yeah. Like surprisingly so. Yeah. When I was on, I guess on the Gangbush squad a couple weeks ago, and they were doing their tier list, and I was arguing for Cassia to be, dumpster tier level 4. I was like, she's just so easily counterable. I was like, her damage input isn't high enough. But you know what? I've seen some pretty good Cassia play over the past couple weeks, which I think has kind of turned me around and said, I agree with Mystic. She's niche and can really excel in specific niches.
No, she absolutely is. You just have to pick her at the right time in the right comp. Right?
Yeah. And that lightning ball, oh man, especially after 20.
After 20, when that thing will just bounce for... there are videos out there where it's like whole team wipes.
Yeah. I've played in very coordinated environments with my team league team, and it's like, okay, lightning ball's on. Everyone's like panicking. We're all like trying to run away, but everyone's trying to run away.
But you end up running in the same direction when you run away, and it's like, well, guys, like we're just...
Yeah, that's coordinated play, like QM billion times worse. Not to mention, it's not the loudest of ability. It can kind of, you can kind of not notice it. Yeah, being there, and you're like, oh crap, this ball is like, especially when you're in the middle of a team fight, you might not see it right away.
Right.
So it becomes that much more difficult to dodge. Okay, Nazebo. He got a bit of a nerf, or a big nerf, I guess, to Gargantuan. 14% reduction in its damage, 8% reduction in its health. He also got 11% buff to the Plague of Toad's ability damage over time. Superstition at level 13, that's where you gain spell armor but lose physical armor, had its spell armor changed to 40 instead of the previous 50. Viral infection stacks required to make God Nazebo level 20 have been increased from 150 to 175. And for those of you that don't know, this is, you've got to kill minions that have poison on them to get these stacks. So that's an extra 25 minions. That's 4 or 5 waves worth of minions, assuming you can get them all. So that makes this a little bit more difficult to get, especially on your 2 lanes or larger maps. So Mystic, I remember playing a lot of Mage Wars Brawl with you back when they allowed Superstition at 13, and you were like, just get your stacks, at level 20, we're going to win. We got 2 Nazebos on the team. I did that, and I couldn't believe how much damage I was pumping out. But either way, Nazebo snuck his way back into the meta. He's not a bannable pick, but he's picked quite frequently in a lot of games that I've been playing in. Are these nerfs warranted to Nazeebo?
Yeah, I'd say they are. They're so you have the superstition change, right, which is a little bit less spell armor. It makes it so that it's not you pick it, you're immune to spells. Because 50 is pretty huge, but 40 is okay, right? And then the viral infection stacks, I guess I agree with this change because, the viral infection was so strong. Now you really have to put a lot of emphasis on farming. You can't okay, there's no objective up, I'm just going to farm the stacks. And when the objective is up, I can still go to the objective, do what I need to do, and then go back to farming the stacks and then just have it at the end of the game, right? Now, with that 175, you have to think about whether, hey, should I go to the objective or should I take the extra time to farm up this minion wave? So it kind of takes away some power there.
I'm sure Blizzard looked at their little win rate spreadsheet and saw the win rate of Nazeebo spike as soon as he got to level 20 with his viral infection stacks hit there. So I'm sure that's probably why they did this.
It started at 10. As soon as they got Gargantuan, the number changed. And look, Nazeebo's still okay-ish. You'll still see him in pro play. I especially and open division, amateur on the edge of pro play, right? Let's call them semi-pro, because I don't want to call these guys amateurs. They're clearly not chair league level amateur. These are semi-pro players looking to break in. If you see it in pub stomps, it's gonna be ridiculed. And why are you doing that? He's so weak now. He got nerfed. So I don't know. We'll see.
Did you ever get caught in a zombie wall with a gargantuan on your head and spiders chasing you? Oh my gosh, that's one of those feelings ever.
You just die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at least we don't have to worry about that as much with gargantuan getting this reduction, but it still hurts.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along to Greymane. Greymane actually got a pretty significant change because his inner beast, that's his W ability that increases his attack speed as long as he's attacking, because every time he attacks it refreshes the duration of inner beast, which I believe is 3 or 4 seconds. So they've actually changed the way that works. So now if you get auto attacks in while your inner beast is active, you're actually going to decrease the cooldown of it once it comes off of being an once the ability is active, of 0.5 seconds. So every auto attack you get in reduces the cooldown by 0.5 seconds. Now they increased the cooldown of the ability from 16 to 20 seconds too, I guess, to counteract it a little bit. But this was something that was taken at level 1. There was a level 1 talent that used to do this, but now that talent has been changed, so it increases the cooldown by 1 second per auto attack. Also, the Cursed Bullet ultimate now actually chunks 40% of a current hero's health instead of 35%. So what do you guys think about this change to Inner Beast, making that level 1 now baseline, essentially? Does that make Greymane a more attractive hero? Because, to be honest, his attack speed's pretty slow if he doesn't have Inner Beast active, and this makes it a little bit easier to have it active all the time and potentially proc into other talents at level 1. What do you think, Mystic?
I think it is just a change. So if you get a lot of auto attacks off, it's great. However, if you can only get a few off, then it's really detrimental, because then, since the cooldown was increased to 20 seconds, if, let's just say, you proc it, you hit W, and you get that extra attack speed, you shoot twice, and then the enemy gets away or something, that creates a bigger window where you can engage on Greymane after his inner beast has worn off, that he has really, really slow attack speed. So it opens up that window. And then the Cursed Bullet change, it's okay. I mean, the 35% increase to 40%, it's not going to change that much, honestly. Of course, it's going to do more damage, but it was kind of already being used for its intended purpose, which is to burst and or take out a lot of tanks' health.
What do you think, Liqiud? Are we going to see a bit more of Greymane in the Nexus these days?
I don't feel like anything's changed enough to really make a big difference. The people that were playing Greymane effectively can still play Greymane effectively. Yeah, the extra 4 seconds is going to be a problem, but if you look, a lot of those players that were really playing him we're able to constantly attack in the extra 4 seconds, I don't think is actually going to affect that much. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Guys, we had some major changes to Probius, too. Huge rework. He can now self-cast Photon Cannon. Period. That's it. That's the only change we had to Probius. So very slight change to Probius in this patch. He can now press Alt-E or whatever his Photon Cannon button is to get the Photon Cannons up. So nothing big there, not even worth really commenting on. Valera, Liquid's waifu, has now had a nerf to her burst damage.
Go ahead.
Liquid needs a moment. Her Eviscerate E ability now deals 15% less damage per accrued combo point. And she also lost Cold Blood at 20, which again made her Eviscerate give you an extra 100% bonus damage. That was to her next Eviscerate. That was an activatable. So they removed that. The idea here is they were a little bit worried about her burst coming out of her Eviscerate, so they tried to get rid of that. So Liquid, are you done crying there?
No, I'm not. So I'm not. Okay, for the record, I'm not crying. My allergies are crazy right now. They've been crazy for the last week.
He's casting Valera's Lament.
I mean, there's some dust. There's some dust in my eye.
But no, in all seriousness, I was talking. So Ataro over with the new guys that Mystic and I casted a number of games for the last 4 months. Showed me a crazy good Valera build. And, like, I was getting kills like there was no tomorrow. But you had to play it right? And it was very, I'm a roguish, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to open, and I'm just going to blow you up. That's gone. So they've taken somebody who's supposed to be a rogue, and, like, her whole kit was roguelike. And 2 weeks after releasing her, they nerfed her. And I didn't say anything. I was a little upset, but I didn't say anything. And now they do it again, and it's like, Blizzard, like, there is no point to it. We're going to see her, like, never played. We are legitimately going to see her play pick rate, like, basement. There's no reason to pick her. At this point where she is, Zeratul is actually better than her. And it pains me to say that, because playing Valera was so much fun when she first came out. It was so much fun after I learned a new way to play her, which was still very similar to Rogue, but slightly different than when she was released. And at this point, it's just like, why? Why would I? If I'm going to just run up to somebody and use my abilities and not get the open to, like, burst, like, what's the point? I can use Zeratul to do the same thing, only better. So, yeah.
Blizzard.
Don't tell Liquid, but I was tired of getting blown up by Valera.
I mean, I know a lot of people were, right? So I get it. Look, I played. I don't remember who I was playing on, but it's frustrating to get blown up by Valera. I really wish I could remember who. I think it was when I was playing my Probius games. Like, it's painful to play Probius when there's a Valera on the other team, but. Damn, did they really have to nerf her that hard? Like, Cold Blood is the, like, pinnacle of rogueness. Like, what? Like, Blizzard, why? I could understand just taking, like, doing 15% less damage on Eviscerate. I think that's a little heavy-handed, but okay, I can understand it. But to take away Cold Blood, like, come on. Really? Jesus. Sorry.
Blizzard, you broke Liquid. Congratulations. You may have nerfed Valera, but you also nerfed Liquid in the process. Thank you. Yeah, I imagine some of the reasons they mentioned this kind of in the developer comments is because they're a big advocate of trying to change heroes that are not fun to play against, and maybe that was the case here. I know a lot of people cringe when they see a Valera on the other team, but you know what? Maybe you should be cringing, right? When you see Liquid line up against you. So
it's a rogue. Like, you should be worried about a rogue. Like, and instead it's like, oh, there's a Valera. Who cares?
Whatever.
Right. Like, no. Blizzard, why? Blizzard, why? Like, I understand the principle behind the change. You know what? We got a lot to cover still. Go ahead.
Okay, next on the docket's Ariel. She got some general buffs, like quite a few actually. Increase the damage on Sacred Sweep. That's her Q by 6%. And Detainment Strike by 15%. Damage bonus to various talents in her tree. Righteous Assault level 1 now reduces the cooldown of Sacred Sweep, which is typically an 8-second cooldown, by 3 seconds per hero hit instead of 2, and there's no cap on it. So you essentially hit what's that, like 3 heroes with Sacred Sweep, you can cast it again for free. And she doesn't have mana, so you're not gonna have any mana issues there. So hello Samuro. Here we go. Like just keep sweeping all over and over again. Empathetic Link at 7. That's where you got hope from damage to a crown target. Has gone back up from 20 to 25% of the damage taken. That's where it used to be. So you can feel free to put that back on your bruisers and get some effective use out of that. Blinding Flash at level 13 has been reduced from 3 to 2.25 second blind. And then finally, Shield of Hope, which gives everyone shields based on the health missing. That's something at level 20, has a cooldown increased from 45 to 60 seconds. But most importantly, her ultimate got changed. Resurrect now has a 0.5 second cast time, and there's a 5-second delay after it's been cast on the hero resurrecting. The cooldown, however, is almost doubled from 70 to 120 seconds. The level 20 augment now actually has been changed a bit. Now Resurrect can recharge 100% faster while the last Resurrect target is alive. So you can essentially get a 60-second cooldown if that person survives. Let's not talk too much about Ariel's buffs, because I mean it's made her stronger there. But what about the ultimate change? Mystic, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be a picked ultimate here, or is just Aegis just too strong? Because this is completely changing how you can use your ultimate. You're not going to get interrupted like you used to, but you're essentially putting your own hero into a cocoon after you resurrect them.
See, here's the thing. I like you said, Aegis is really strong, right? Mm-hmm. Now, original Resurrect, the one that's 70-second cooldown, takes 3 seconds of channel, that was a fine ultimate. I'd go so far as to say it was a pretty good ultimate. But Aegis is just too good. And then with this ultimate change, they made it so basically this is what they're trading. They're trading counterplay of casting the Resurrect, because now it has only a 0.5 second channel, but they're adding the counterplay, whereas there's now 5-second delay where the hero comes up, right? So now this allows you to prepare for the hero coming up and either surround them, or as soon as they come up, you have a free, if you time it correctly, you have a free skill shot that you can land. So while it is an okay ultimate, I don't think that it's strong enough to warrant taking this over the Aegis.
You're essentially giving another ultimate to the other team. You're giving them a free cocoon, right? I mean, obviously, you've got your advantages like after a team fight, or if you've got forward momentum in the team fight, I could see this being a very advantageous thing. But generally, if you've got a hero dead, you're retreating to some extent. You're not trying to hold the ground for an extra 5 seconds, which is a lifetime in a team fight too.
Not to mention, I'm just gonna get this quick thing out there. Not to mention that if you do resurrect that hero and you're already losing the team fight and they kill that same hero, they get more experience.
Yeah.
So 2 things I'd throw out there. 1, this is very much hey, we really want somebody to pick a different ultimate ability, but we don't want to nerf Aegis because we like the way that works. And so they're trying to make this better. They're just not there yet. Right. It's
hard to make it better without making it OP too. Like a resurrect ability in general. Right. As soon as you say that, I remember when we all heard about it, we're like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be the biggest OP thing in the world. But obviously there has to be some sort of counterplay or drawback to it.
So I just one other thing, because this just clicked in my head and I gotta throw this out there. I finally figured out why they nerfed Valeera. Because they didn't have any new skins. Where with Ariel, they had new skins, so they had to buff the hell out of her. She was already good. Blizzard's like, we gotta sell new skins, boys. What do we do? Quick, buff the hero. And here we are. So Valeera, I'm gonna watch. When her new skins come out, I expect that buff.
And Liquid's Tin Hat Ultimate is now on a 120-second cooldown. So Brightwing also had a little quality life change. She now has a range indicator for her heals, similar to Lucio. This is only visible to Brightwing, so it doesn't clutter up the UI for everybody else.
So needed. Oh
yes,
my God,
very much
please.
needed. One of those things, like, that's kind of one of those obvious things I guess I should have included a long time ago. Lily got a bunch of buffs.
New
Lily
skins, man. New skins.
New skins, that's what happens. So her Blinding Wind got a significant buff. Her cooldown was reduced from 10 to 8 seconds for Blinding Wind. Mana cost was reduced from 40 to 30. Damage is increased only by 6%, but this has made her win rate go up significantly. If you look at the last 7 days, she's nipping at the heels and in some cases ahead of Lucio, depending on what league you're looking at, all the way down from Bronze all the way up to Master, Grandmaster. we seeing a resurgence of Lily here?
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, her, it might not sound like a lot of damage increase, 6%, but one thing Mystic was saying is that, this is augmented by her talent tree, and her blind build now has gotten significantly stronger because of this.
Haloran loves damage Lily, which is all the blinds, right? And Water Dragon. And he's made a case for a long time to run damage Lily with another healer. It can even be like a Tyrande, right? And you'll just absolutely crush people. I think a Tassadar would fit well too. Tassadar the next year we talk about, but like there's just so many things you can do with a damaged Lily.
But be careful running away from Lily, especially if she's got her advanced movement speed too, and can kind of catch you a bit. Sending out her blinding winds on you, I've seen it finish off quite a few heroes in the past week. You're not safe running from that Lily like you used to be. Okay, we've got some changes to Tassadar too. I'm going to call this a pro play nerf because he's not performing the greatest. If you just look at hot slogs, and people might say, like, why is he getting a nerf here? Well, it's because he's OP or first ban material in pro play, and that's the issue that they're trying to address here. So he did have, I guess, a bit of a buff in some cases. In this case, 20% increase to basic attack damage. However, his big nerf comes in his plasma shield duration, which is decreased from 5 to 4 seconds. Not only that, his shield amount was decreased by 14%, and coupled with his level 1 globe questing talent no longer reducing the cooldown once you have 30 globes, it's impossible to have shields up 100% of the time. So you're going to definitely have whatever it is. I don't have the math and stuff in front of me. I know it's probably simple math. It's probably like 8 minus 5, but 3 or 4 seconds between shields where you won't have any shields available for your team. So now the level 1 talent, the globe questing talent, once you get 15 globes, it increases the shield amount by 15%, which is what it just got nerfed by. So you can bring it back to where it used to be. And then if you go to the 30 globe questing talent, you get an extra 15%. So they get a little bit bigger. But still, we're looking at a lot tinier shields on Tassadar, who's a pretty high skill cap character to begin with. Then Force Wall got a cooldown reduction from 10 to 8 seconds. So if you want to use Force Wall, you can spam the hell out of that thing. Level 20 Archon augment actually got a little bit of a change. It no longer refreshes the cooldown of Archon for each auto attack. Instead, it increases the duration by 2 seconds every time you auto attack. So you can still get the infinite Archon, but you just need to be constantly attacking. You can't just wait for like whatever 8 seconds and throw out one auto attack to get all your duration back. So Liqiud, you're our resident esports person. Is this going to knock Tassadar down a peg in pro play?
Nope, he is still first ban material, and here's why. First, I actually like the changes Blizzard made with this. I think this was the right way to approach trying to pro play nerf this, but he's still first ban worthy, just like Zarya is, and here's why. You're either going to let one of the shield siblings through or you're not, and if you are, roll the dice, see what happens. But shield play, while having the long-term shields is important for shield play, especially depending on the map, ultimately shield play is there for one reason and one reason only. The burst is coming in, throw the shield on to protect that person, right? If you can use it for, like, task Vala so that Vala can sit there and heal constantly because she's constantly shooting things with her arrow, more power to you. But ultimately, shield play is about protecting that person from the burst, and these changes don't address that. In fact, they do less because now you can go 50% higher than your shield used to, as opposed to getting the ability to always have a shield up, right? So you're getting an extra 15% of damage mitigation.
Well, now getting 30 globes puts it to where the 15 globe quest used to be, though. So
no, did it though? I thought you didn't get the extra mitigation. I thought you only got the time.
I think the 15 seconds was you got 15% extra, and then the 30 globe quest was the extra cooldown.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
So, but I mean, still, like,
right.
Your point's valid. Shields are very powerful when you've got quick reflexes like pros do.
Right.
Not so valuable when you're like me and you're trying to throw them on people like willy-nilly and not really getting the value out of them properly. Okay, so Uther got a big rework. We're going to get Mystic to address this one once I go over the what happened to him here. So all of his healing abilities now grant 25 armor for 2 seconds. So he's more damage mitigation here. Max health and regen for him were increased by 5%, making him tankier. And his healing has been reduced significantly. Holy Light by 11% and Holy Radiance by over 25%. That being said, he's got the armor now, so I guess it's offset by that. He's a lot tankier, but now you need to think about who you're attacking when there's a stun on Uther on the opposite team, because you're going to be going into someone who's got basically a spell shield or just a complete shield on the armor all the time. So we might do a bit of a deep dive on Uther next week if we have time. But just for now, Mystic, what do you think about Uther, like in his general play style, and are there any abilities or talents you want to highlight here?
So Uther was changed, like you said, his healing was reduced. So I don't think you want to take Uther as a solo healer unless your team has a lot of self heals that they can do on themselves, like ETC or Thrall or any of those people. Running him in a double healer comp, I think, is actually really, really good, especially if you have I think it's one of his level 16 talents. It's like Tears Deliverance, which increases the healing on the targets that you've healed by 40%, which is pretty huge. So if you have that, and if you heal your entire team with Wave of Light, and then Lucio uses his Amp It Up, you're probably not dying to AoE damage anytime soon. So other than that kind of healing thing, his armor is really strong, and I'd almost go as far to say it's like a pseudo shield, because what do shields do? They mitigate burst damage, right? You can actually throw out your Wave of Light on your entire team. For 2 seconds, they have 25 armor, which is pretty significant, right? It's like a Nubarak. It's like the base armor that he has for magical damage. And so if you have everybody on your team can get that benefit. If he hits your entire team with it, you basically have 25% spell, or not even spell reduction, damage reduction on everybody on your team, which is really insane. But like I was saying, his healing numbers are not so hot, so you might want to pair him up with somebody else.
I just want to throw this out there because it'll be interesting to see. I need to tweet Heroes Esports and see. I don't think they're playing on this patch this weekend, because if they are, Uther will be first pick, first ban, 100%. Even more so than Tassadar and Zarya. With these changes, Uther is now like #1 healer for pros.
Yeah, and he's a complicated healer. There's a lot of decisions you have to make here, because it's not only your heals but damage mitigation that you're going to be throwing out in specific situations. So maybe you want to save your heals for someone getting targeted down, because not only do you get the big burst heal that Uther is known for, but also the damage mitigation to go along with it. So if you have an armor on, if you grant armor to a hero and you mitigate damage, that doesn't show up in the healing numbers, does it? Because I guess that would be another thing too.
So, yeah.
So his healing numbers might seem lower, but you're also mitigating damage in the same time too. So those healing numbers might be deceiving. The one talent that I kind of like to point out too, which I think something counters almost something like a mosh, if you're not caught in the mosh, but the rest of your team is on level 7. There's Guardian of the Ancient Kings. If you heal a hero, so you can throw out your Holy Radiance to heroes that are stunned, rooted, or silenced. It increases their armor bonus they receive from 25 to 75. So if your team's caught in a mosh, you can't interrupt it. Say, depends on what talents you took. Maybe Divine Storm can get rid of that. But you throw out your Holy Radiance and you give everybody 75 armor. Like, that's a good way to counter something like a mosh right there, or even just like a large ability that's silencing the whole team. If everyone gets caught by like Sylvanas' AoE silence too, you can give them a little holy radiance, and suddenly everyone's almost immune. So kind of interesting. I mean, it's on the same talent tier as his version of Cleanse, so who knows if that's one after one going to pick. It's probably obviously very situational, but still kind of a cool thing. And there's a lot of cool talents in here, but a lot of them are very utility. So you've got to make decisions in your talent tree picks, and also in game too, like when to use what, because you have long cooldowns, generally speaking. So anyone to pick what when is important. And like I said, maybe we'll do a deep dive on Uther in the coming weeks once you have a bit more playtime with them and analysis, just get a little bit more tips and tricks on them. Okay, so moving along in the notes, we've got next on the docket ETC. If you loved ETC a few weeks ago, you probably didn't love him a couple weeks ago after his huge nerfs. However, he's gotten some tiny buffs, and I think they're giving it the gentle turning up the dial here on ETC because they don't want him to be OP again. He's still not performing that well in terms of win rate. However, he does still bring a lot to the table, and I've seen him play quite a bit in Team League and Hero League recently to great success if you got the right person on him. So he just got small increases to health and his health regen, about 4%. and small damage and healing buffs in his talent tree too. I know Liquid, you love ETC. Are you still gonna pick him in any matches here after these buffs, or is this too little?
He is still out to pasture, unfortunately. So my favorite two tanks are Diablo and ETC. Both have appeared tonight on stream. ETC is still not getting played. I'll play him probably 1 out of 20 games, but he's just not good enough right now. He's just not. In fact, we're gonna cover the next person on the list. I would rate him higher than ETC,
which is Stitches. He got small health and health regen buffs, about 3%. Not huge, but Stitches is slowly creeping back up here. So you think he can outdo ETC? Are we gonna start seeing more hooks?
Yes. Stitches was already in a good place, and the health and health regen buffs actually make him really, really tanky. So I actually like that. So my plan this week was to work on Anubrak yesterday and today, and Stitches today and tomorrow. And then now that I'm no longer trying to jam for 10 on Valera, I'm just gonna hit Hero League and start grinding the old Hero League and looking for Team League to get the placements done. So yeah, I think you'll see a lot of Stitches. We saw Stitches just at HGC this past week actually too. So I think we'll start seeing more of him now. Cool.
What about Zarya? I mean, Zarya is another one of those first banny type in a lot of maps, especially in the pro play. We talked about how powerful shields can be. Well, she did receive some nerfs today. The biggest change was her energy decay is back to where it was at the beginning at 3 decay per second. It's funny how they reduced it too far and they slowly brought it back up. It used to be just, before this patch 2.5 per second, but it was down as low as 2 per second when she was super OP a week after her launch. Her level 1 talents that give energy, however, were all buffed. So that's Together We Are Strong for allied shield damage, giving energy, and Maximum Charge, where you got energy from gathering globes, both got increased. Now, Graviton Surge got a cooldown reduction from 100 to 80 seconds. And some other notables, one thing I saw is that she got a lot of buffs to her allied shield talents. So Speed Barrier at level 4 actually gives a speed increase to allies that are shield from 35 to 50%. And level 16, she's got Cleansing Shield, where you can cleanse the your ally. That's nothing's changed there except for the fact that now it gives a 3-second reduction in the cooldown when you take that talent as well. Instead of, I think before it was 2 seconds. So if you want to cleanse and get someone out of that mosh pit really quickly, they can do it in a hurry. I'm not sure if people are going to be taking these talents, but still interesting to see that they are looking to try and buff that kind of utility for her.
Cleansing Shield has a decent pick rate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess a lot of these are situational. Depends on the healers and such you have if you're missing the cleanse. But it's interesting that's the way they're going with this to try and change her playstyle maybe a little bit. I like the fact that the one thing I always complained about, because I felt like I always had to take the Maximum Charge level 1 where you get the globes, being able to take Together We Are Strong, potentially now getting more energy at level 1 for the allied shields is something that interests me, because I always wanted to be able to throw those shields on somebody else as they're taking damage to increase my energy. Now I can actually do that. But Zarya, I don't know, do you think, is she still going to be up there in pro play again? I don't think these nerfs are enough here.
So here's the thing I would point out with this, the 2.5 per second to 3 per second. We should just call those the training wheels. Those were get used to energy decaying. Blizzard gave them to us for a period of time. Now Blizzard has taken off the training wheels and said, it's cool, we're back to where we started. You know how to play her, and if you don't, well, time to learn. So
it's funny how I guess Blizzard knew in the first place from internal playtesting that was a good place to be, but then they throw them to the wolves, throw this new hero to the wolves. No one realizes how to play her properly, and it takes a while to take off those training wheels. Now, like you said, here we are. We've pushed the kid on the bike.
Right.
And we'll see if they're about to fall.
Since I brought this up earlier, I do want to point this out. So I asked a bunch of people all at once on Twitter which patch they'll be on this week. This week will be Probius. Cassia patch is next week, and I would assume for 2 weeks after that. That's tricky because it's only supposed to be 2 weeks. I'm not sure when they're going to go to 2.0, but Probius this week, Cassia next week for patches in HGC. So.
Okay, we made it through. That was definitely Blitz Edition. I think we did that faster than we usually would have gone through 2 sets of patch notes. what do you guys think? Do you think we have enough time to do the Reddit Q&A, or do you want to just skip that?
I wish we did, because Alebeard is always hooking us up.
I know. Well, how about this? We'll just tell you that Blizzard had a Reddit Q&A addressing Hanamura and Genji specifically, but they also touched on many other things. And I don't think you should go through the Reddit thread. What I think you should do is go to Alebeard Summary, because that's what I did. You can head over to it at heroesthestorm.blizzpro.com. I'm sure it's probably one of the most recent articles, probably within the last 5 or 6. You can get Alebeard Summary. He goes over all the key points there, talking about Genji, Hanamura, some hero changes that are incoming, battlegrounds. There's some interesting kind of tidbits in there about how they go through design and iterations on heroes and such as well. So go check that out on Alebeard's channel there, blizzpro.com. He does a lot of great work there, and he's our crack research team for a reason.
I just want to throw this out there because I cannot thank Alebeard enough. And I know you feel the same way, Daz, but I legitimately at this point, when I see a whole lot of news coming out at once, I tweet and I'm like, Alebeard, when are the cliff notes coming out? Because I just can't. I can't keep up. And sure enough, an hour or two later, boom, here's the cliff notes. And it's like, he's doing the important work. So, yeah.
And we're not the only one who gives him props, too. I've caught other podcasts and content creators being like, great article, Alebeard, thanks for doing all this stuff all the time. And I think he's almost like the central hub for a lot of this information. Right? A lot of people are the go-to here. He's the wheel, the cog of the wheel that holds us all together. So as always, we can't thank Alebeard enough for his good work. And if you want to, you can follow him on Twitter, by the way, to Alebeard TV. He's got some great insight and stuff along the way. He's very active on Twitter as well, so check him out there. So before we end off the show, though, I'm going to go over a couple iTunes reviews. So I stumbled into the US iTunes store, and I noticed we've got 2 5-star iTunes reviews that weren't there the week before. Justin T writes, "Caught the Haloran." Jesus,
there it is. You got it,
fix
though.
That pronunciation.
You caught it, though.
Caught the Haloran show and found you guys very entertaining. The multiple segments, like the debate and esports portion, really do a nice job breaking up the show, and the discussion is it says 2-notch, but I'm assuming you meant top-notch. You know what? I'll take 2-notch too. The discussion is 2-notch. Keep up the good work, guys. I kind of like that. I'm gonna start calling stuff 2-notch. 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 You
That's
guys
some
are 2-notch
work there, boys.
Thanks, Justin, for the great shout out there. So J Petty 22 also writes, "You guys are very open, love the discussions, cover many subjects, cast to cast. I feel like you're a more expanded version of watching Garrett Art and Kyle Ferguson over at ITN. Maybe you could do cross cast with other information-based Heroes casters. Keep it up, please." And I mean, we always try to. We had Bacon on from Gangbush Squad last week. I'm sure we had Haloran on a few weeks ago, popular caster as well on the esports scene. We're always going to be up for having new guests, and we're going to try and keep getting more guests on here. And also, J Petty mentions Garrett and Kyle Ferguson is actually it says Garrett Art, but that's his Twitter handle. But Garrett and Kyle Ferguson over at Into the Nexus, it's the actual podcast that got me interested in this game and podcasting in general. So if you're going to check out one podcast other than this one, go check out ITN Into the Nexus over at amove.tv. Great work they do there. And they also do a ton of other podcasts. Garrett in particular, his last name's Weinzero, by the way. I was blanking out for a second. Garrett Weinzero does a Hearthstone podcast. He used to do an Overwatch podcast. I'm not sure if he still does it or not, amongst some others too. So check out their work over there at amove.tv. It's definitely a great content for the Blizzard universe. So that being said, we're going to end the show here. And thank you all for listening to a very long Nexus Trolls. They always seem to be very long, but there's always so much to talk about. A Heroes of the Storm podcast. We stream this live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/the Nexus Trolls, every week on Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So Liqiud, if people are looking for you on the interwebs, where can they find you?
So your best bet is to follow me on Twitter, at LiqiudGG. That's LiQIUDGG. I tweet whenever I'm going live with this show, with other shows I guest on, with the Weekly 323 over at DB Smiley's channel. So that is 100% your best bet. The other thing you can do is follow me on twitch.tv/LiqiudGG, LiQIUDGG. Mystic and I cast a number of games over there, including HGC Open Division NA. And today I was actually entered into the Twitch affiliate program, so people can cheer me and send me bits, which will actually earn me money on Twitch, which is kind of cool. So yeah, follow me on Twitch and follow me on Twitter. Those are your best 2 places to find me.
How about you, Mystic?
Well, I mean, you know me. I only have a Twitter right now, so you can find me at Mystic Shroud on Twitter, and yeah.
And
if you want to follow,
go ahead.
Because if you want to follow a very, very active Twitter user,
Oh yeah,
at Mystic Shroud probably isn't the one for you. But you know what? He's a great person to follow, regardless.
And that's what I was gonna point out. Like, somebody out there, please tweet Mystic that's not me or Daz, and maybe we can get a tweet out of him.
oh man.
And start following him too. I want to see Mystic have more followers than Justin Bieber.
Right?
Yeah, so let's get on the Mystic Shroud followers train. You might not get a lot of tweets out of him, but maybe we can push him in that direction. But at Mystic Shroud is the place to find Mystic. So thanks to all of our Patreon supporters as well. If you like the show and you're looking for a way to support us, you can do so over at patreon.com/the Nexus Trolls. Show is always going to be free, but if you're looking for a way to support us, go check us out there. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can also visit our website at www.thenexustrolls.com to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. For announcements about the show and general Here's the Storm news, follow us on Twitter at the Nexus Trolls. And I forgot to mention, too, I've got a Twitter handle as well, at DazHots, so DazHots. And finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is by email at podcast@thenexustrolls.com. Mystic and Liqiud, thanks for casting, everyone. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a great week.